Let me quickly say this experience. There was a time when I had this boss. She was trying to correct my work, right? And then I was trying to tell her that this was my thought process, you know. And so she said, oh, she doesn't care about my thought process. If I could say Jack Robinson, I felt a nudge, like, yes, in the office from my work.
Hi guys, welcome to our first episode of Office Rights series, where we talk about relatable things that happen in the office, talk about the industry trends, talk about daily 9 to 5 routine. So yeah, let's just get ready for that. I'm Gloria and I'm here with the beautiful Ada. Okay, so now Ada, have you heard of the stereotype around Gen Zs being lazy, the whole perspective around? I just know your opinion on that.
Okay, well, I mean, everyone has heard it, but I think that every generation would typically want to say that the ones coming after them are lazy, they're not as hardworking, but I don't think that's correct. I mean, because I work with a lot of Gen Z people, to be honest, and they are phenomenal. Yeah, they do a lot of great work, so I do not believe that for 1 second. Yes. I mean, you're Gen Z, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
No wonder you're blushing.
They have to rep.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're not lazy. You do great work. Yeah, so I don't believe it for 1 second.
Yes.
Anyway, the older ones, they would always say that because they want to feel some type of superiority, but I don't believe all that.
So you would not say working with Gen Z is hard?
No, I wouldn't say working with them has been hard for me so far. I've never had any of those experiences. But I mean, I've seen it online where people say, like if they hire a Gen Z person today, they'll be like, oh, I'm coming to work late tomorrow, just so you know. Those type of things that we typically would not do as millennials.
Yeah.
But Gen Z would do it and they will not even care, But I think that as time goes on, as the world becomes more and more exposed, the way we work will change. There won't be that serious fear of your boss like it used to be. I'm sure like 20 years ago, people were not really, if your boss walked in, you have to like prostrate to greet them, but things are no more that way. We now have, first name basis with our bosses and all that, and it wasn't like that before. You have to say Oga, you have to say Madam, to your boss. So things will keep changing and we just have to keep getting used to it.
Now, generally, why do you think it's harder to work with people than doing the actual work?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's harder to work with people, but I would say that people management is very difficult. So as a leader or as a boss, you need to be able to understand the people that work with you. If you don't understand them, you have a problem. So it's not necessarily that it's harder than the job itself, but it's that if you don't take out time to understand emotional intelligence, you don't take out time to even know the people that are in your immediate environment, you will struggle. Yeah, so not necessarily harder. You just need to put yourself in that space.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, so now Ada, tell us, do you think working with older people is harder than working with younger people?
I know why you asked me this question because I'm in the middle, right? Yeah. Well, that's a good question. So obviously, before I got this old, I was young, right? So I've always worked with older people, right? From NYSC. Well, I can tell you for a fact that when I was younger, I struggled with older people. Yeah. Because just the same Gen Z now are struggling with the millennials or even the baby boomers and all that. I also struggled because, I remember when I was in NYSC when I was 7, my immediate boss would correct me. And in my mind, I'm super smart. So what are you, like, I've done everything I need to do. So what are you correcting? I used to be so mad in my head. I will not express it. Be quiet. I see people do that now, just be like, oh, this reminds me of when I was younger, So I feel like the more you grow, the more you remember where you're coming from. And then it just adapts to things the way they should actually be. So yeah, working with older people, it has taught me a lot, to be honest, has taught me a lot. I'm more respectful now. Because now people report to me, so I know what, it means to actually be in their shoes. Yeah. Do you understand? Yeah, so I mean, I'm growing and I'm adapting every day. So it's not easy, but it's a learning process.
That's good. Understandable. Okay, do you have an unspoken rule or like a challenge of working with older people?
No, I don't think I have. I mean, because I'm a millennial, I still have that respect. I still have that fear. So regardless of whether you're my boss or you're not my boss, as long as you're older, I would always give you that, respect. So I don't necessarily think I've had, but I mean, there would always be challenges in the office where there'll be clashes and all that. But I don't think I've really had anything that major or that serious. Yeah, so that's it.
Okay, so another question. When you were younger, when you were working with older people, did you ever see your ideas, or do you ever think your ideas are not taken seriously because of your age?
That's a very brilliant question. I wouldn't necessarily say not taken serious. But when you're younger, people just believe that you don't have the required experience to be able to give, the right authority. I don't know how to say it. People feel like, because they've had this number of years in the industry, especially in a niche industry like telco, there are some things that even as a young person, you might not understand. So they use that as leverage over you. What do you know about ISPs? What do you know about? So there are those technical terms, that they will use as leverage over you. But if you know your onions, obviously, you will be able to leave your input here and there. And when people see your footprint here and there, they will respect you more. So, I mean, I may have struggled with that a bit when I was younger, but I think there was also that mutual respect because I always brought, the right things to the table and people respected that. So I don't think I was necessarily shut down at any time. Yeah, but although I think I don't know if I can say this experience. Let me quickly say this experience. There was a time when I had this boss. She was close to me in age, but I don't think it's just the age thing. I think her personality also played a part. She was trying to correct my work, right? And then I was trying to tell her that this was my thought process, And so she said, she doesn't care about my thought process. Like, it needs to be like this, and it needs to be like this. That can be like that as well. One way is the way. They don't care about your order. They don't care about order. Do you know that if I could say Jack Robinson, I felt a nudge, like, yes, in the office from my boss. That day I got home, I cried. I told my mom, I told my sister. There's nobody I not tell. I told everybody. It was so sad. So, but I think apart from that, I've not really had like a bad experience, so to speak. But yeah, that was it. And it really got to me.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question.
Okay.
How did you handle corrections when you were younger?
It was really difficult for me, but I was able to adapt little by little. I think the worst phase for me was when I was in NYC because for me, that was when I was straight out of university. So I still had that mindset of, university, once you read and you're good, you're okay. But that's not how real life works. Real life is practical. And not only is it practical, you also have to follow the lead of the people who have actually been there. Yes, because there's a way certain things are done. So you need to do it the way those things are done. Yeah, so I didn't understand that. And it's because I did not understand that. That's why I had those challenges. But as soon as I was able to immerse myself in the work, I understood that and I got better.
You mentioned emotional intelligence.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, why do you think emotional intelligence is so important?
In the workplace? It's so important because you're dealing with other people. You need empathy. You need to be resourceful. You need to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes. You also need to be tactful. And why do I say this? Sometimes you might want to respond to somebody, right? You need to have situational awareness to look at your surroundings and say, do I need to say this to this person? Or if I say this to this person, how to come across? Because you're in that kind of environment where there might be high pressure. You don't want to say something that would set somebody off. In fact, sometimes you can even say something via email, and that's not what you mean. But they might read it the wrong way. So it's always very important to have emotional intelligence, which is, you can't escape it. When dealing with people, no matter where you are, be it work, school, church, anywhere you are, you might mistakenly upset someone, right?
Yeah.
That's where emotional intelligence comes in. When they approach you and say, what you said in your email, I don't like it, or maybe how you spoke to me the other day, I don't like it, always be quick to apologize. That's one thing I've learned because, sometimes people would say, the way you wrote your email, it comes off as strong, or gotten that feedback before. But, I don't hesitate to apologize and move on. There's really nothing. We're just here to work. Let's work and go home. That's my philosophy. Let's work and go home.
So Ada has basically said everything on how to navigate life as a young professional. So I hope the young professionals out there that are trying to navigate the workplace, how to work with the older generations. I hope we've learned from this segment. So Ada, thank you very much for gracing us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So this brings us to the end of the Office reality series. Stay tuned and get ready to see more of this.